we're talking about our why. Before the piano ninja tricks comes, the most important thing is, why do you make music? What brings you to the piano? What was your first memory of hearing the piano or hearing music? So I'm about to share mine. I was 7 years old, and I have 3 older siblings, and somehow they must have been in school, and I was the only one home. And I was in my pajamas, and men came to the door and started removing the front door. And my mom said, Lisa, go get dressed. When you come out, there's going to be a surprise for you. And I thought, great, we're getting a new front door. While I'm changing into my clothes, I heard the most magnificent sounds I remember ever hearing at that point. And it was my mom playing piano. I didn't know my mom played piano. We didn't have a piano. I had never heard anything like it. And I just ran out of the bedroom and I saw her fingers on the keys. And I was mesmerized. And I don't know, Mom, if you remember what you were playing, but whatever she was playing, I started playing the high notes and then the low notes. And I didn't know how to play, but I knew I had to play. I knew that the piano, those keys were like a magnet to my fingers. I was an excessively shy child. Like, I didn't talk. I didn't speak. My parents took me to a child psychologist when I was 3 or 4 because I wasn't speaking anything that they could discern or understand. And the child psychologist said, she's fine, she's a late bloomer. There are many reasons I was quiet, and I'm writing about that in my memoirs, and that's a whole other subject. But the piano became my voice. The piano for many years, for decades, was my only voice. I had to play. So those sounds of my mom playing piano, and then she used, when I was growing up, she used to take me to I grew up in Syracuse, New York, and she used to take me to the Syracuse Symphony. It was just her and I was just mesmerized. And I remember my first solo recital was David Malfinger playing all the Chopin etudes, and it may be why I was drawn to the Chopin etudes. But the piano that was my voice. That was my safety zone. The piano bench was where I grew up because it was my zone of comfort. I have since developed other voices. I'm not shy anymore. I'm not quiet. I love to public speak. But it has become, it wasn't just playing the piano. It was my breath. It was just like an extension of myself. And that's why when 3 years ago I fell and I broke my hand and had 7 complicated fractures, and I thought my 4th finger on my right hand had fallen off my hand. It was so deformed. I felt like my voice was taken away. And it crushed my hand, and it temporarily crushed my soul. But I was determined to get my voice back and to play piano. And I had 2 immediate surgeries just for bone healing. It was supposed to be 1 surgery, and then there was a complication, and 2 weeks later I had emergency 2nd surgery. And so now my hand's in a cast for 6 weeks instead of 3, which causes a lot of stiffness. I developed CRPS, which is complex regional pain syndrome, which is a very rare neurological disorder that generally happens to middle-aged women when they've had trauma to their hand or their foot. I was in hand therapy excessively, way too much, every day, 4 days in a row. And I went to my hand therapist and I said, all I want is to play piano. Will I play piano again? And she said, look at your hand. How would you? And I decided in that moment that she was wrong. In that moment, I decided no one was going to tell me if I could play the piano again with 2 hands. Nobody had that right because nobody knew. I went on to find, I stayed with the same surgeon. He was very good, but I went on to find a new medical team, including many alternative therapies. And I found a new hand therapist. And I went to her and I said, will I play piano again with two hands? And she said, look at your hand. Why wouldn't you? And I hired her. And after 186 hand therapy sessions that brought her into retirement, she's now retired. I was her last patient. I left her on a good note. 32 acupuncture treatments, Feldenkrais movement therapy, practice, and so many other things, trauma therapy. People asking me right and left, when was I going to give up? Was I done trying? I'm here to share this with you because nobody has the right to tell you you can't play your instrument. Nobody has the right to decide for you what you can and can't do. They don't know what you're capable of. I'm about to play for you a section of one of the hardest pieces written, Rachmaninoff's Second Sonata. I don't play it perfectly. I am not here to teach you how to play perfectly. I don't want you to play perfectly. Perfect is boring. The reason I know I can't play it perfectly is I can't reach some of the chords. There are 4-note minor chords I can't reach. But it doesn't prevent me from making music. And whether you grew up and you wanted to go to a music conservatory and your parents told you you weren't good enough, or society told you you would never make a living as a musician, or someone told you that that was a side gig, or you can do that later when you retire, whatever it is, they don't know what you're capable of. So I'm going to play a little bit of this. And I want you to just, again, listen with your heart, but also just take in the beauty of the music. There are going to be wrong notes, I promise you. What got me through this to play again, I've done over 30 Facebook Live full concerts since the pandemic started. What got me through this is letting go of perfection. My theme is screw perfect, just make music. There are lots of ways to make music easier, and I'm here to teach you those piano ninja tricks to do that. But if we don't get through the emotional part that gets you to the piano, once we do that, then it opens up the door for all the piano ninja tricks coming in. So this gorgeous section of the Rachmaninoff Second Sonata, second movement. So just a little bit of that, and well, that's the wrong notes. I really just started. I hadn't played that in decades, and even 20 years ago I struggled with that piece. It's so hard. But now I'm just taking little sections of it at a time and going through and applying my piano ninja tricks, and we'll see how far I get, and I'm enjoying playing it